called the Bandura Waltz. Thank you.
Okay.
Want to keep sitting here? Should I give you a place down?
We can stay here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But,
Hey, Marcy. What's up there?
yeah, hey, Martha. Those two. Jump works. Okay.
See, there's more and more music here, but do you want to do any more? You've done a lot already.
We can do more.
Okay, just one short one. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
This is a little Finnish quartet.
Oh, that's mine. Oh, great. So, my dear friends, they're it's working, right? You can hear my voice, booming voice. Okay. My friends, a very heartfelt welcome to you. As I always say, your presence is truly a blessing. Now, we have a tradition. Once I ring this, sure. Right. Let's yeah. My God, then we've got to have them glued to their seats. Okay. I'm going to ring this bell, my friends. As you know, what happens is magical. Ring the bell, you're glued to your seats because that's you're being convened. But of course, being an institution of compassion, if you have great needs to go to the sanctuary of release, go straight ahead, and that's where the sanctuary is. Okay, my friends. No. Okay, you're now officially but lovingly glued to your seats. Thank you. Okay, my dear friends, we have a tradition of welcoming our ancestors and First Peoples, and Brother George, who is the president of our board, will come forward and do that.
Thank you, Jamal. Good morning, everyone. And it is my honor this morning to invite in our ancestors. And I like to do this deliberately, not just simply kind of just capriciously, but just give it some thought. And so if you're willing, this might be easier to do with your eyes closed. Just take a few minutes and try to bring into your awareness someone who's made a difference in your life. A relative, a teacher, a preacher, a friend, whomever, that you would like to have accompany you this morning. Even though they have passed, you can bring them into your consciousness at this very moment and have them with us this morning. So let's take a second and do just that. Thank you, and welcome to all you invited. Another tradition we have is to honor our first peoples. And I ran across this little poem, a very short poem, but I thought it apropos in light of maybe where we're parked these days. And it's a poem attributed to Joy Aharo of the Muskogee Nation. And Joy says, "Sacred grandmother, ancient earth, teach me your ways of forgiveness. Let simply and always, after a fire or frost, all the fields and forests of my being spring green again, burst into delicate laughing flower. Sacred grandmother, teach me to forgive wholly. Teach me holy forgiveness." And also, something to be mindful of is a land acknowledgement, and that is the fact that we are privileged, honored to have this piece of property and this building built upon ancient people's lands. Here was the land of the Duwamish people here locally, and we owe them a great tribute. We owe them a great honor. And you can find out more about them anytime you desire by just simply going online to www.realrentduwamish.org. You'll find them there. Thank you.
Thank you, George, and thank you, Phil and Birgit, for your beautiful welcoming music. It's always uplifting to hear the wonderful folk music. I've been asked to give an offering to the Divine Feminine this morning, and that's another one of our traditions here. And the Divine Feminine is something that, means different things to different people. I think for some people it's kind of a new concept. It was new to me when I first started coming to the Interfaith Community Sanctuary. And over the last 20 years, I've learned a lot about different perspectives on the Divine Feminine. So I'm not going to give a talk about that, don't worry. But I am going to read something. I love to look for saints and sages that were of the feminine gender, because I find that they shed special light on the divine feminine energy, which is in each and every one of us. One of the most important things I learned when I started learning about this concept is that it isn't about men and women. It's not about gender in that sense. It's about a divine quality of wholeness. And divinity is whole. It's W-H-O-L-E. And it includes all types of creatures, people, genders, races. It doesn't matter. It's not divided up into segments like that. And what we want to do is emphasize the wholeness, W-H-O-L-E. And I chose a passage from Saint Clare of Assisi, who, another thing I learned in this sanctuary the year we were studying St. Francis, is that St. Clare was a spiritual companion of St. Francis of Assisi, and she was a member of his order of, I don't think they called them priests then, but his order, and started her own women's order on the same principles as St. Francis. And this is a reading called The Mirror of Eternity. Place your mind before the mirror of eternity. Place your soul in the brightness of his glory. Place your heart in the image of the divine essence, and transform yourself by contemplation utterly into the image of his divinity, that you too may feel what his friends feel as they taste the hidden sweetness that God himself has set aside from the beginning for those who love him. Cast aside all things in this false and troubled world that ensnare those who love them blindly. Give all your love to God, who gave himself in all for you to love, whose beauty the sun and moon admire, and whose gifts are abundant and precious and grand without end. Amen.
You can do one more music? Thank you.
This is a wedding march in Marcy, Fröglösta.
Thank you so much, my dear friends. So my friends, again, a very, very heartfelt welcome to you here who are in person, and also to those on cyberspace. Again, to you also, a very, very heartfelt welcome. Let's do a chant. And by the way, when you do a chant, praising God or Spirit doesn't become holy, we become holy. This is the insight of all the great saints. A chant most of you know. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Again. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Just the beloved women, please. Just the beloved men. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. All together. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Once softly. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Twice aloud. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Thank you, my friends. Just becoming still for a few moments. And by the way, our topic today is meditation and silence. Which, by the way, is a total paradox. I'm going to talk about silence. You know, I'm very fond of Rumi, the 13th century sage who believed so much in silence. And one day a skeptic came and said, oh, beloved Rumi, you believe so much in silence, then why have you talked and talked and talked? He said, actually, I have talked, but the most radiant, divine spirit within me has not said one word. So this is just my personality speaking. And by the way, what is a personality? Anybody know? Can you define personality? I don't know, but I can quote some great saints. Anybody have a definition of personality? We are personality, but also we have a divine spark. Christ nature, Buddha nature, Elohim nature, Allah nature. The Buddha says, the personality is nothing more than a bundle of conditioned reactions to life's circumstances. We are our personality, but we are also more than our personality, our divine spark. But Jamal, you get enmeshed in the dramas and melodramas of your life. You're enmeshed and stuck in quicksand of personality. You are that, but you're more than that. So one way of going beyond that is silence. So I want to start by saying many holy books, maybe all of them, they have their roots in silence. I'm a Muslim. I study the Quran, which by the way literally means recitation. How did the Quran come into existence? In the year 610 CE, after birth of Christ, Muhammad, not yet a prophet, was meditating in silence in the cave in Mecca. Even as a young child, he would always go and be in silence because he was so deeply hurt by the inequities, inequalities, oppression of the environment in the Arabian Peninsula. But this one particular night in the year 610, he was meditating. Usually his wife would accompany him. This time she was at home, and he saw this luminous light approaching him. And he got very scared, radiant, bright, blinding light. And the light came closer and closer and closer and said, I am Angel Gabriel. Iqra, recite, say something. Anyhow, long story, he got absolutely frightened, but eventually he felt a tremendous squeezing within him, and words of extraordinary beauty poured out of his mouth. Those were the first verses of the Quran. And that's the miracle of Islam. Not just it happened that way, because this happened for 23 years. Words would come out of his mouth spontaneously, sometimes unexpectedly, sometimes in answer to a question. But you should know this, that just as in Christianity, the miracle of Christianity is that Jesus, peace be upon him, is a son of God in Christianity. In Islam, the miracle is that the language of the Quran, which came out spontaneously, is unmatched by any body of Arabic literature. All academicians agree that there is no body of Arabic literature that comes even close to the beauty, the melody, the harmony, the juxtaposition of words of the Quran. That's why the recitation of the Quran is very precious for Muslims. And anyhow, this is not a sermon on the Quran, so I'll move on. So that's, but the point is, it has its roots in the womb of what? Silence. The Quran says when you go into silence, Spirit and the angels descend. How about the Buddha? Buddhism. That's not his name, by the way. His name is Gautama Siddhartha. Buddha simply means the one who... Buddha means intelligence. Through intelligence, he has become awakened. So what was the story of the Buddha? Well, he was a prince, spoiled prince, but he managed to see 4 sights. I won't get into that. But he was very disturbed by what he saw when he went outside in a very surreptitious way. He was not allowed to go outside. And he saw some 4 sights. And a question arose in his mind. What was the question? The question was, why would a mother want to give birth to a child who would inevitably grow old, become sick, and die? What is this? Craziness. Why? No answer. So he gave up his kingdom, left his wife and child. For 7 years, went all throughout India, the jungles of India, talking to seers, great pundits, experts, learning from them. But he was never satisfied with the answers he got until, out of frustration, exasperation, he sat under the Bodhi tree, the fig tree, I've never been there, I'm told it still exists. He sat there, said, I will not arise until the answers come from within. And thank God, there was a shepherd girl who came and fed him regularly. He kept sitting there. And then finally, from within, from the womb of silence, the answers came. If you study Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path. So once again, Buddhism has its roots in silence, meditation. How about Hinduism? You know, Hindus don't believe in prophets. And the scriptures of Hinduism are not only second to none, some say it is superior, but we don't want to get into that. That's holier than thou attitude. But just know that the Hindu scriptures are very precious. But the reason I say this is, who revealed that? It was not prophets. Who were they? People like you and me. And who are these people? I said, people like you and me, they get old, like I'm getting old. So those people, husband and wife, they had settled their children, their material affairs, and literally and metaphorically, they would go to the forest. That's why it's called the forest dwelling stage. In that stage of their life, student, householder, this, that, now forest dwelling stage, they go there to meditate on what was all this about? What is all this about? Mother-in-law problems, financial problems, this problem, that problem. Why am I here? Where am I going? And as they began to meditate, some answers came. And over the centuries, people have done that, answers have come, and then some wonderful people have come and summarized them and put them into literature, and that is why they're called, you must have heard this term, sutra. You've heard of that? Sutras? Anybody know what sutras mean? It means a thread. So everything is a thread. All these insights and these people who have done their meditation, they add some insights. There's experts, some wonderful people come, they summarize them, and those become ornaments on the thread. That's the sutras. That's the Hindu scriptures. But again, it has its roots in what? Silence, meditation. Okay, so if I ask myself, I love metaphors, I love stories. What is a metaphor or story that explains the mystery of nothingness, silence? The one that I have said many times from the Hindu tradition, the son is asking the father, Father, this fruit tree, where does it come from? Father says, look deeper, take the fruit, cut it. And the son cuts the fruit, says, Father, I see a seed. He said, go deeper, cut the seed. Then the son cuts the seed. He says, Father, there's nothing inside this seed. Ah, says the father, that nothingness is everything. Tattvam asi. This is a very famous verse in Hinduism. Tattvam asi. From that silence, everything has come. That art thou. That art thou. From that silence. You have a seat right here. Yeah. So another one, if I'm thinking about from the Sufi tradition, when Sufism first started, some say from the 7th century or even some say way before that, there was a group of people, very humble, sincere, enlightened beings who would get together, and they would be in different parts of the Islamic geographical empire, you might say, and they would communicate how? In those days, no internet, no telephone, no telegram, through silence. And what would they do? These very wonderful, well-meaning Sufis, they had a center in Baghdad, which at that time was the center of Islamic civilization. From Baghdad and other places, they would sit in silence, meditate, and send light and love to the world, and then engage in social action. Social injustices, earth care, by planting trees, by doing fundraising, building schools. So this was called Anjumane Khamoshi. It's a Persian word. It means society of silence. It so happened that once a member of that wonderful Society of Silence had died. So a Sufi master said, maybe I should go and become a member of that Society of Silence. Not out of ambition or power, to be able to want to serve. So he proceeded to go towards Baghdad, where the center is, but unfortunately, they had already chosen a successor to the person who died. So as this wonderful Sufi master, and he's a very well-known Sufi master, his name is Abdul Qadir Jilani, and he's called the Rose of Baghdad. The Rose of Baghdad. Why is he called the Rose of Baghdad? I'll explain to you. So as he was approaching the gates of the famous city Baghdad to be entered and be initiated into that Anjuman-e Khamoshi, they sent an emissary to tell him, I'm so sorry, it's already taken. So this emissary comes with a glass and pitcher of water, and remember, they don't talk. So here is Abdul Qadir Jilani, approaches Abdul Qadir Jilani and points to the glass, takes a pitcher of water and pours the glass all the way to the top, meaning it's already very full. And what does Abdul Qadir Jilani do? He also bows and he goes like this, and amazingly, he plucks a rose petal. It materializes, and he puts it on that full glass of water, meaning, look, I've put it on the glass of water, which is full. It does not disturb the fullness. And immediately the other person bows, and the gates open for this particular master to come to become a member. That is why he's called the Rose of Baghdad. That's the mystery of silence. Do we need silence? Of course we do, but for me the metaphor is, I love the Rumi's metaphor. He says, you know, Jamal, you're so enmeshed in the ups and downs of life, in the duties you have to do, both in the material world, invisible world. You're like a fish out of water, thrashing and quivering on the banks. You need from time to enter into those oceans of silence to become refreshed, invigorated, rejuvenated. We all need silence in our lives. So, what are the elements of silence? I love to quote the insights of Rumi, and some of you know it by heart. Rumi, as you know, did not do much writing. He would go into a trance. And he came up with these insights about silence, like going into a trance. Silence is not the absence of sound. Who can complete it? Because you heard it more than 10 times from me here. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the absence of what? The little self, the I, me, me. Okay, another one. Silence is the language of God. Everything else is what?
A poor translation.
Silence is the language of God. Everything else is a poor translation. Okay, we'll test my co-minister here with a third one. Say that again.
Nothing like being put on.
Yeah, no. Okay, in silence, the branches of my intelligence. Have you heard this one?
Grow many branches.
Or new leaves.
New leaves.
That's very good. Rumi would love you for that, yes. In silence, the branches of your intelligence grows new leaves. So we need silence. What does silence really mean? And now let's get into, I'm looking at the time, I don't want to talk too much, because it's about silence. But it's just my personality, so don't forgive me, yeah. So what are some techniques of, before that, one other question people always ask me. If silence is so beautiful, when is the best time to practice silence? Any time is perfect. But if you look at the Quran says, one of the best times, any time is perfect, one of the best times is, the Quran says, in the early watches of the morning, when people are asleep. The veils are thinnest at that time. The Quran says, it's a verse from the Quran, it says at that time, impressions are the strongest and words most eloquent. Impressions are strongest, words most eloquent. So Rumi looks at this verse and goes into a trance, and we think he really focused on this particular Quranic verse because he was a person who really focused deeply on Quranic verses. And then he goes into a trance, and out comes this words from his mouth. No one knows what makes the soul wake up so happy. No one knows what makes the soul wake up so happy. Just maybe a dawn breeze has blown away the veil from the face of God. No one knows what makes the soul wake up so happy. Just maybe a dawn breeze has blown away the veil from the face of God. Rumi goes on, and so he says, Brother Jamal, don't go back to sleep. Don't go back to sleep, because the breeze at dawn has secrets to tell. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell. So a wonderful time is early hours of the morning. Okay, moving on. What are some techniques of meditation? Again, friends ask me, I don't know exactly how to do it. What do I do? There are hundreds of ways. But let me just categorize some of the ones we do in ICS. The first one, and this is in many traditions, but particularly in Buddhism, focusing on the breath, with the breath. Like the Buddha, when he was asked, he said, his main technique is simply this: becoming still, focusing on the nostril, and just being present with the in-breath and the out-breath. And you can use techniques like breathing in, you say silently, as you breathe in, breathing out as you breathe out. Or you can say, as I breathe in, you can say within, inside you, love, meaning you're bringing from the cosmos all the vibrations of love. As you breathe out, you can say peace. So that's the breath. Just be with that. And you can do that for a lifetime, being with the breath. Just take a few deep breaths. The Sufis say, the real meditation is when you connect to the breath within the breath. Allah is the breath within the breath. Allah, divinity, spirit is the breath within the breath. Okay, before you start levitating with your breathing, let me go on. The next one is mantra. Using a word or sentence that really resonates. I love the story. A Bedouin came to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and said, "Oh, sweet Muhammad, all these different techniques, all this theological, business about Islam and all that has become too much for me. Just give me one single spiritual practice I can do for the rest of my life. Just one." And Prophet Muhammad said, "Sure." And his words were, "Keep your tongue forever moistened with the name of Allah." Keep your tongue forever moistened with the name of Allah. So keep your tongue moistened with the name of anything that is sacred but resonates in you. Jesus, I love you. Om Mane Padme Hum. Shalom. But repeating it again and again and again and again. One Sufi says, this is called remembrance of God. What is this? Are you hearing my voice? The remembrance of God. And if I keep saying it again and again, and what a great Sufi master said, "Oh God, by repeating this mantra again and again, I remembered you so much that I realized little by little you arrived, and little by little I departed. Little by little you arrived, and little by little I departed." So when someone asks me, "But tell me more, what is the beauty of repeating a mantra? Why would it work for me?" So I use the metaphor which I repeat many, many times because I love to hear it for myself. Every tradition has that. A vat, meaning a pot of dye, D-Y-E, color. Take a cloth, dip it in the vat of dye, take it out. It has a beautiful color, but over time it fades away. But what happens if you dip that cloth in the vat of dye again and again and again and again and again and again and again? There comes a time it becomes color fast, permanent. So eventually, Rumi says, if you repeat that sacred word again and again and again, it perfumes your being. It perfumes your being. Quran says, truly in the remembrance of God do hearts find peace. So what is one word or sentence you could be using both in your meditation and also in your waking hours? That's the key. Just choose one and make it a habit. Any word. It could be love, peace, Jesus, I love you, Om Mane Padme Hum, La ilaha illallah. But repeat it as often as possible. Repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. You see, the traditions say it also keeps you in a prayerful state. That's the key point. Why should we pray? Why should we meditate? Because as long as it can, it keeps you in that prayerful state. You're in a state of calmness, peace, centered. Okay. Breath, mantra, guided meditation is another one. You go into a sacred sanctuary, meet your inner circle of love, etc., etc. So it's a guided meditation. Let me just add one more. Chakra meditation. Who knows what the word chakra means? It's a Sanskrit word. Chakra.
I do. Well, it's a center of light and the various parts of the body. You have the base chakra and you have the solar.
Yes. But do you know what the word chakra means?
The throat chakra.
Yeah, yes.
Third eye.
Yes. But you know what the word chakra means? Yes, 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 yes. Thank you. So you both completed it. It's the wheel and you've done the location. So they've explained the chakra meditation. The classic Hindu, but it is in every tradition, but in Hinduism at least, they have 7 main centers of a wheel-like opening, invisible. If you see me, you cannot see it. I'm looking at you. I don't have that ability, capacity, but if I look closely, they say there are 7 wheel-like openings in your being through which spiritual energy flows. And very often, they're partially blocked. So like you said, the first one is in the base of the spine. That's the energy that keeps me centered, grounded. Second one is in my reproductive organs. That's a sexual energy and also energy of creativity. Third one is just above my navel. This is the chakra of emotions, our blocked emotions, which is why the Buddha has a belly. Why does he have a belly? He says, you know, we put so much pressure on this chakra. We think we're looking very, slim and wonderful, but what you're doing is blocking this chakra. Don't block your chakra. This is where all our unfelt, denied, avoided emotions go, right here. This chakra. Fourth one is the heart, the world of love and light. Fifth one is the throat, which is about being able to articulate yourself. It also has a second meaning. It's a link between spirituality, the mind and the heart. Between the mind and the heart. Third eye, deep understanding. A center through which spiritual energy flows into us. Okay, now very quickly, besides these things, I want to say, how about meditative retreats? In our community, we've been here since 1996. Let me mention the first one, Vipassana. How many of you heard of Vipassana? Wonderful. Anybody know what does the word Vipassana mean? It's a Sanskrit word. Insight, yes, wonderful. Insight. It means a special way of seeing things as they are. This was practiced by the Buddha, but it did not spread. It was confined to the Buddhists until there was an Indian gentleman named Goenka who lived in Burma, now called Myanmar, who was very ill. He was a merchant, business person, had a lot of pain in his body, and he went all over the world. He had money to do that, but could not find any relief. But he had a Buddhist Burmese master who taught him Vipassana. And he was shocked. When he did Vipassana, for the first time in his life, his medical ailments all disappeared. So he began, because of his personal experience, to share this particular type of meditation, which is about self-transformation through self-observation, through which you acquire a deep inner peace and higher understanding. You become centered, you become energized, invigorated, and open-hearted. So that was Vipassana. And in our community here, we have probably sent close to 30 people to Vipassana centers. I think there are 3 or 4 in the state of Washington. 10 days. You go there in that retreat. You don't make eye contact with anybody. You don't speak a single word for 10 days, but you spend it all in meditation. Okay, another one, which some of you may not have heard, called Subud. S-U-B-U-D. Anybody heard of Subud? It's also all over the world. There's an actor named Danny DeVito. Taxi, I think I was told. He's a great proponent of Subud. So who founded Subud? Was an Indonesian gentleman when he was at just about 24 years old, a very pure human being. And late night after work, he was just walking, and suddenly he felt as if the sun had fallen on him, filled with light. His whole body was vibrating. And he was sure he was dying. He went home somehow shaking, lay down, he's going to die. He said, before I die, let me pray. But as he got up to pray, he felt this energy force that did the prayer motions without him doing anything. And he found that this life force energy was just guiding him in every particular way. So in I think it was in 1935, he came out with this. You can all do that. All you have to do is become very still and just surrender everything. Even surrender your consciousness about yourself, and something enters you, particularly as you purify yourself. And so I and my late co-minister Karen, we went a number of times to the Subud Center here in Seattle, and they have these groups of people. This are guided by the ones who have experienced. It's called latihan. That's the spiritual exercise where you become very still, and you're being told to just surrender everything. Just let go, let go, let go. Surrender everything, everything. And then whatever comes, whatever you feel, just do it. You feel like crying, cry. You feel like sneezing, sneeze. You feel like laughing, laugh. You feel like speaking a language, do it. And if you feel like most people, they get up and they move. They just move. Something guides them. That's Subud. You can use Uncle Google to find out more about Subud. Okay, the last one about this one is Chilla. This is a Sufi retreat. Let me tell you the original, the way it works. It's a Persian word meaning, it comes from 40. 40 days, you go in seclusion, and there's a Sufi master who will come from time to time, but you're quiet there. It's one room. You sit there, reading verses of the Quran, doing chanting, becoming very still, doing self-observation for 40 days and nights. There's a book, but written by actually Michaela Oselsel, I think. I had the great pleasure of meeting her in Philadelphia. And she said, when I did that, I never realized, but I thought this was all illusion. But I heard screaming, I heard shrieks, I felt these energies coming, and my master, my teacher told me, just continue, just continue. She said, you won't believe what I saw, what I experienced, what I felt in these 40 days of being by myself. But eventually, she said, I began to see the light. She's got a book, by the way, and if you want to read the book, just let me know. It's called 40 Days. I think Diary of a Sufi Retreat, something like that. Anyhow, so just be with that. Ask yourself, do I want to go to a retreat? Okay, next one is, and I'm bringing it to a close, I'm looking at the time, meditation through music, particularly in a group. In Sufism, it's called zikr or dhikr. meaning remembrance of God. You in a group, you chant verses together. Now Rumi did this, all the Sufi practitioners, they do it quite regularly. I remember one poetry is, Rumi, is doing this all night long, and then in the dawn comes and Rumi says, Hussam, Hussam, what is happening? What is happening? Hussam, it is dawn. What we are feeling, because they felt like a mantle came over them. He said, what are we feeling? This is not joy. This is not sorrow. This is not ecstasy. Those things come and go. This is presence. This is presence which stays. We're experiencing a sweetness that existed before honey or bee. Taste it, taste it. Be with it, be with it. When grapes turn to wine, they're wanting this. I remember in my village, they do a form of zikr all night long. And I heard it, I was not exactly there, but I heard it from where I was trying to sleep. And they were chanting and going like this. So I went out and saw, they were going, La ilaha illallah. It means there is no God but God. Repeat this sentence with me. La ilaha illallah. This is the most sacred verse in Islam. La ilaha illallah. 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 And then they went into illallah, which means except nothing is real except for God. And they focus on the heart, and vigorously they would say, pointing to the heart, illallah, illallah, join me. Illallah, 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 illallah. They did this all night, and they would get into a trance. And some would get up and just start moving, feeling that energy moving them all around. Or you can, I prefer it, I like to sing it. La ilaha illallah. Join me. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. A few more times. La ilaha illallah. Two more times. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. And now for the good news. This is my last point here. The last type of meditation. In Christianity, it's called, I know many of you know it, it's called Lectio Divina, which means in Latin, sacred reading. You are given a passage or you choose a passage, number one. Number two, you meditate on it and you connect with something which, as Rumi would say, splashes in your heart. Splashes in your heart. And then, any insights you get from within you, you talk about it to God. Lectio Divina. In Sufism, it's called Hal and Maqam. This was my favorite technique of meditation. My parents or teachers would give me a verse from the Quran. Son, just meditate on that. Then they would ask me, what did you understand? I would say something. Then based on that, they'd give me another Quranic verse or a poetry of Rumi, which is why I know so many Rumi poetry. or a story and go and meditate on that. And the whole idea was, if you meditate on a passage or a sacred verse and really reflect on it, on something which splashes in your heart, it perfumes your being. It impacts your behavior, your thinking, your emotions. It affects your action in the world. You become a changed person. It transforms you. It really works. It has worked for me. Just by meditating on sacred verses. That's why I love that one verse about this technique in Sufism. They say, once the blush of the beloved graces you, once the blush of the beloved graces you, there's no going back to becoming a green apple. Once the blush of the beloved graces you, there's no going back to becoming a green apple. Or you can have this meditative state, this is very popular in South Asia, by a poetry where you all get engaged. So I'll just give you 2 lines. They're my favorite ones. Let me think of the first one. The first one is, Jamal, your face was dirty. So somebody in the audience repeats, as I keep saying, Jamal, repeat after me. Jamal, your face was dirty. Your face was dirty. Meaning, spontaneously, whoever wants to say it, but I start by saying, Jamal, your face was dirty. Jamal, your face was dirty. Someone say it again, say it again. Jamal, your face was dirty. But you were obsessed with cleaning the mirror. And you're supposed to say, wow, 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 how in South Asia they say W-A-H, wow, 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 how wonderful, how wonderful. Then I repeat again, Jamal, your face was dirty, but you were obsessed with cleaning the mirror. And it gets repeated several times because it needs to go deep inside you. And people start repeating what I say, and they keep on saying, wow, 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 wow. Okay, let's try it one more time. Jamal, your face was dirty. Jamal, your face was dirty, but you were obsessed with cleaning the mirror. Wow, 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 wow. Okay. Another one I remember very well is, let me think about it. How did it go? Oh, tears are colorless. Tears are colorless. Thank God, thank God. Tears are colorless, thank God. Otherwise, now there's silence then. Otherwise, my pillow would betray the secrets of my heart. Wow, 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 wow. Tears are colorless. Tears are colorless. Thank God, thank God. Otherwise, my pillow would betray the secrets of my heart. Wow, 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 wow. Well done, well done. Okay, so now, for me, let me start with Gandhi. You know how Gandhi's life was transformed? He had a very difficult life. He was the most shy, lack of confidence person. He felt absolutely hopeless, in despair, until he read one sentence. Some of you know that. Yeah, from the Bhagavad Gita, which said, truth is God. That one sentence, as he focused on it, truth is God, as he meditated on that, changed his life. Changed his life. You might say he did Lectio Divina on that. He did Hal and Maqam on that. Do you have a sentence like that really works for you? Anybody? Like for me, Rumi's verse, sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment. I repeat it all the time. Sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment. Or the Christian one I love, it changed my life. Oh, Sister Almond Tree. Oh, Sister Almond Tree, tell me about God. Oh, Sister Almond Tree, tell me about God. And the almond tree blossomed. I love that. Or the Zen one, sitting quietly, doing nothing. Sitting quietly, doing nothing. Spring comes and the grass grows. Sitting quietly, doing nothing. Spring comes and the grass grows. Do you have one? I don't want to keep going. Yes, yes.
All the light we cannot see.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, as I promised, I'll come to an end finally. Close your eyes. Okay, the first technique, focus on your nostril and just be present with your breath, please. As you inhale and as you exhale, just this much. Be with your breath. So this is an entire world of meditation, being present with your breath. Okay, letting go of, because we'll do several ones. Another one is choose any mantra. You can place it in your heart, any part of your being, but just repeat it again and again and again and again. Okay, letting go. A third one, focus please on the first chakra, base of your spine, and make an intention to send out a beautiful cord of light from that first chakra, wheel-like opening, going down, way down, deep, deep into Mother Earth, connecting us to the womb of Mother Earth, feeling centered, connected, bonded. Let go of this. Now focus on the crown of your head. And from the crown of the head, crown chakra, intend to send a beautiful divine cord of light, any color, upwards, going way up, higher, 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 piercing those mysterious realms and connecting us to the heart of heaven. Letting go of this time focusing on the heart, the wellspring of divine love, light. And now making an intention from the heart, pouring out light and love in an outward, expansive direction. And remembering, the more I pour out, the more I become filled up with. It's a law. Ancient, inexhaustible, pouring out light and love. And the sages say, Brother Jamal, can you do this not only in meditation, but also in your waking hours, focusing on the heart and pouring out light and love? Letting go of that. And the last one is focus on the heart and just tell your heart with feeling, in humility, in sincerity, tell your heart, I love you. I really love you. I love you. And mean it. And do it, say it unabashedly, no matter how awkward it might feel initially. I love you. I love you. Letting go, becoming absolutely still. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. One last time. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. And now, my friends, we are so excited and lucky that in this state, let's have one last piece of music from wonderful, talented musicians.
So we met Jamal first in the 90s, and he was a tomte, and this is a song about the tomte.
Tomte,
It's
yeah.
not quite Christmas yet, but this is a dance done around the Christmas tree in Scandinavian countries, Norway in particular.
All right.
See the nose dancing? Thank you.
And now, in the Tomke tradition, we express deep gratitude to you for everything, and also, if it feels right to you, to make any contribution you want to make to Interfaith Community Sanctuary, materially, or in your prayers, or volunteering for some service. Masalaji will pass around the plates. Oh. And my dear friends, also, you can also donate online, and I believe we have a URL for that, brother. We have a QR code for that, yeah, for the donation.
I don't have that one.
Yeah, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you go to our website, interfaithcommunitysanctuary.org, and there's a donate button on every page there, and right at the top, and that will take your donation, for which we are very grateful, those of you who can give something to the greater good. And we know also a lot of people give their volunteer their time and their energy to the upkeep of this wonderful historic building and all the programs that we have going on here, which we'll be talking about in just a second. Thank you. We'd also like to talk a little bit about the upcoming events that are coming in our sanctuary very soon. After the service, of course, we have our coffee hour, we have lunch, we have a lot of food down there today. We welcome everybody to lunch, whether you brought something or not. We have goodies, and we would love to have you join us. And we're going to have some table conversations today in the spirit of the lunch with others. And we have some questions for people to answer and practice listening to each other around the table. So we'll ask you to sit at one place and kind of stay there, and we'll have some questions cards for you to answer, and Jamal will explain that.
And it's meant to be fun. Don't worry about it. It's just meant to be fun. The whole idea is, as you look at the environment all in America, all over the world, the main problem that, some spiritual teachers say is that we have not really made an effort to connect with the other on a human level. Just connecting with a human level. So we decided that let's start this practice of when we get together, let's bond with the other on a human level. So it's just a game we do, but the whole premise is, Brother Jamal, rather than talk so much, which I did, that's okay too, can you please listen? Can you listen Like if somebody's talking to me, let's say, I'm not a Trump supporter, for example, but if I meet a Trump supporter and he or she is speaking, I'm not listening really. I'm already formulating my answer. But that's not listening. Listening means, I love Rumi's words, metaphorically putting your head on the person's chest and sinking into the answer. So this is a simple practice by Rice University. They did it in the early 1990s, and my God, it was so successful for about 10 years. It was like the mayor of Houston said, this is even better than sliced bread. So this technique of just connecting to the other. Yes.
You want to talk about that?
Sure. So my friends, to really remind you, every year, actually for 38 years, and we have been a large part of that, we've had an annual interspiritual event. Usually it's been very successful. At one time we had 250 people. We did one last year, we had 150. But we need your participation, and it's mostly experiential. We've realized, Jamal, don't talk so much, others don't talk so much, don't make it a head situation. If anybody speaks, not more than 5 minutes, it's mostly experiential, and it's at St. Joseph's, where several organizations are getting together, including ours, to celebrate Thanksgiving by having an experience at 2:30 at St. Joseph, which is in Capitol Hill. And you have to sign up for this. It only costs $5. Am I right? Yeah. And you'll be given food. You'll be given free food, good food. And $5 is just because you realize if people don't put something down, they don't come. That's like a commitment. So, okay, please pick up one. And like I know Vicky is coming, for example. Others are coming. If you can, please attend.
Thank you. And also, we have many gatherings, of course, throughout the week here at the sanctuary, and some of them are on Zoom, some are in person. We have a special event that we've just set the date for. Oh, let me remember the food drive. Ballard Food Bank. We're doing a food drive for the Ballard Food Bank, and that'll go through the end of December. And we'd like to have, we'd like to take it over before Thanksgiving and then again at the end of the year. And there's another box downstairs in the fellowship hall. And I'll put up I have some suggested, particularly things that they're requesting that they always need. But they accept any kind of canned or packaged food and drinks. This is, for the season. And we would really appreciate help with that so we can get it out to our friends in the local area. And also, we're having a special event, our one kind of end-of-year fundraising drive, a very soft fundraising drive. We're going to have an open house on Saturday, December 7th, right here, and from 1 to 4. And what we hope to do is we'll have music up here, and Phil and Birgit are going to open the program with a little concert for about 20, 30 minutes, and then other musicians will offer their offerings, and so there'll be music here in the sanctuary. And then downstairs we'll have a bake sale, we'll have some crafts for sale, just simple things, some jewelry, some cards, homemade cards that some of us have made, and we'll ask for donations for whatever you help yourself to, but mainly it's another excuse to get together in community, enjoy each other's company, learn more about each other and what our passions are. And that will happen on Saturday, December 7th from 1 to 4. And it will also open it to the neighborhood and hope to bring some of the neighbors in as well. So, of course, throughout the week, we have our regular classes. You can find those on our website. You can also find them if you sign up for the weekly announcements. We call it upcoming gatherings. And you can figure out which ones are on what days of the week. We have meditation groups, study groups, book groups, people reading Rumi's Masnawi, people gathering here and doing the whirling dervish, circular, wonderful prayer practice. So there's all kinds of ways you can feed your soul and be in community to do that, which we feel is very important here. So please join us for any of those activities, and come on downstairs afterwards. What am I forgetting?
Please don't worry about, what is this business of talking to each other? Come downstairs, settle down. Yeah, we've never done this before, like this Sunday service. But, and then as we do this program, after you've settled down, start eating something, let's try this if it works. And we want suggestions from you. what's the best way to connect? Because we know that is critical, particularly at this time, to connect with the other on a human level. So let's try it and give suggestions of other techniques also. So I think we have finished, Sally Jo? Yeah, we just did. Yeah. Okay, so so let's say goodbye.